What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing the Galaxy S23 Ultra versus the S20 Ultra here. Before we get started, it was brought to my attention that and I blocked this person, but if you see anybody in the comments section saying that you won a phone or anything like that, this is fake Telegram, all that stuff like this. Just know that this is somebody trying to scam you, trying to get money from you. So do not fall for that. I blocked the guy, and I'm usually in the comments pretty heavy, but this person slipped, slipped my radar. So I'll definitely make sure I stay on top of that. But if you do see it and he sends you a message or replies to your comment, do not send him any money. Do not respond to him. I'll make sure I delete the comments and stuff like that, and I've notified YouTube as well. So hopefully we don't see any more of that. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in to it, guys. So S23 Ultra versus the S20 Ultra. I think the biggest thing that stands out here are the two designs of these two phones. So actually, before we get into the design, I want to talk about the price. So S23 Ultra, $1,200 without any trade-ins. S20 Ultra you can find really around $280. Last time I seen it on Amazon, probably a lot cheaper as well too. And I think the hardware stands out the most on these two phones. You can see very different looking phones. One thing I like about the S20 Ultra, way more comfortable than the S23 Ultra. As you can see, it curves at the edges, so it's not as aggressive or it's not as uncomfortable as the S23 Ultra. Kind of cuts into the hand, into the palm there. So that's one thing I noticed off the rip, and it's just a little bit easier to hold since it's not as wide. For people with smaller hands, if you have bigger hands, it's probably not a problem. You can see the big difference here when it comes to the camera setups here. And you have a glossy back, which can get fingerprints, and you have a matte finish on the S23 Ultra, which does not pick up fingerprints here. But I think this is a really nice design upgrade as well too here. As far as the weight, they're both kind of heavy phones. They both almost feel the same weight. All right, so also one of the things you'll notice about the hardware is that you do have an S Pen. So this is probably not a big deal if you're somebody that's not going to use the S Pen, but if you find yourself wanting to do digital artwork, or you just want to, let's say you just want to take notes. I use it for the grocery store, so you just jot down notes. It's very helpful for that, stuff like that, if you want to do that. And also, if you go on YouTube, you can see people doing digital artwork with this as well too. So it's a very accurate stylus. There's a ton of software features in this thing as well too. So that's definitely one of the hardware upgrades you get. But like I said, both IP68, dust and water resistant. Also, a big difference is that the S20 Ultra does have SD card support as well too. So that's something that the 23 does not have. And that's pretty much it for the hardware right now. All right, so let's talk about the screens on both these devices. The S20 Ultra does have a slightly bigger 6.9-inch display. It's 1440p, 509 for the PPI. It's dynamic AMOLED. It's 120 Hz only at 1080p. And the S23 Ultra is a 6.8-inch display, 1440p. It does the 120 Hz at the full 1440p resolution. And you can see the two differences with these two phones as far as the boxy shape versus the more curved shape. Again, the S20 Ultra, to me, it's just a little bit easier to hold. They both have punch holes. They're both curved displays. The S23 Ultra is not as curved as the S20 Ultra as well too, which is something that you might like. And also, it does have a brighter display outdoors. It's 1750 nits peak brightness on the S23 Ultra here. So basically, the main benefits is that you can use the 120 Hz at 1440p, and it is a slightly brighter display. And when it comes down to the shape of the display, it really comes down to personal preference, whether you like the boxy shape or the more curved shape here. But yeah, both displays are very beautiful. Both displays have beautiful colors, pretty much identical in colors to me. You're not really going to tell too much of a difference there. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the specs a little bit more here. So on the S23 Ultra, we do have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor, which has a higher clock speed. It's technically for Galaxy. And then it does have, this one does have 512 gigabytes of internal storage and 12 gigs of RAM. And then you also have no SD card support, running Android 13 One UI 5. And then the S20 Ultra here, it has the Snapdragon 865 chip. This one has 128 gigs and 12 gigs of RAM. You do have micro SD card support, so you can expand the storage on this phone a lot. If you take a lot of videos, download a lot of games. That'll be very helpful for you. And the last major OS update for the S20 Ultra was Android 13 One UI 5.1. And then this phone will get 3 years of security patches. The S23 Ultra will get 4 years of major OS updates and about 5 years of security patches, which is really very nice. As far as the speed difference here, guys, there's really no speed difference. It's just like the Note 20 Ultra, pretty much here. If you're looking for like your phone to be blazing faster, much faster, that's not really the case here. Again, the S23 Ultra is going to be faster, but it's just not going to be noticeably faster, honestly. So if you're looking for like a massive speed upgrade, it just goes to show that the Snapdragon 865 chip is still extremely efficient when it comes to speed. Even gaming, guys, is not going to be that big of a difference unless you're a hardcore gamer. Let's go ahead and launch PUBG here. And what's interesting about the older Galaxy phones is that the S22 Ultra and the S23 Ultra can't play PUBG at 90 frames, but the older phones can, like the S20 Ultra and the Note 20 Ultra can. So I thought that was interesting. And again, yes, the S23 Ultra is going to be better for gaming when it comes to benchmarks and stuff like that. But for the casual user, it's just, you won't see a big difference here. So you can see on S20 Ultra, we have the 90 frames option. We don't have that option on the S23 Ultra or the S22 Ultra for that matter. Now, the gaming experience is going to be super smooth on both, so I really wouldn't worry about that. But again, looking for a big upgrade when it comes to gaming, I just don't see it. And plus, the Snapdragon 865 chip, it's not like it gets super hot when gaming either. And this phone does a fantastic job at gaming, at battery life, right? So if you're a gamer and you're out, that's one thing I do think is where the essential upgrade is. Battery life is pretty good on the S23 Ultra. I'm actually pretty impressed with this phone. So if you are like a hardcore gamer, it might be a good idea to upgrade, but again, it's just a lot of money to justify, a bit more battery life for gaming. But as you can see, got that 90 frames on the S20 Ultra, which is awesome. So really, really nice, guys. So again, if you're looking for a big speed improvement, a big gaming improvement, if you're a casual gamer, it's just not going to be there. Even if you're somebody that plays PUBG, Call of Duty Mobile, it's just not a big difference in my opinion. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out the volume on both of these two phones. We got stereo speakers, and we're going to go ahead, we have Dolby Atmos on. We'll start with the S23 Ultra. So you can definitely hear the difference. The S23 Ultra definitely has a slightly better speaker here. It just sounds fuller and a little bit more bass. So I'm glad that Samsung made this move because they really weren't touching the speakers too much on these flagships. But I'm glad that they made a significant difference where you can actually hear a difference with the speaker quality now. So definitely better speakers there. Also, guys, as far as the fingerprint scanner, it pretty much feels the same, no difference there. You also have Face Unlock on both of these phones, and as far as your additional features here, basically everything is still on here. Samsung desktop support, secured folders, all the Samsung features are still on here. Reverse wireless charging is on here, so you're not really missing out on anything software wise except for your S Pen stuff. So you do have a lot of S Pen features that you can take advantage of. I do have a video going over all of that if you guys want to check that out. There's just a ton of stuff that you can do with the S Pen. So yeah. Alright, so let's talk about the cameras on here. So if you take a lot of pictures, this might be a really important upgrade for you. So the S23 Ultra has a new 200 megapixel lens on here. It has a 10 megapixel telephoto lens, another 10 megapixel photo lens, that's 10x optical zoom, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It does have a macro mode. It shoots in 8K, and then you have a 12 megapixel selfie cam that also shoots in 4K 60. We have the ability to do 100 times zoom on here, and yes, the zoom shots are better than the S20 Ultra for sure. Better detail overall. If you like really into zoom shots, it is definitely a better camera. It is a better camera in general, but I took side-by-side stills. So for the average person, do you guys think this was enough? Before we do that, let's go ahead and check out the specs on the S20 Ultra, which is still pretty impressive. So it has a 108 megapixel lens on here, a 48 megapixel telephoto lens, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, a 0.3 depth sensor. It also shoots in 8K 24, and then you have a 40 megapixel front facing camera that shoots in 4K 60, and this one also can go up to 100 times zoom as well too. So check out the side-by-side stills. Be sure to let me know, what do you guys think about these pictures? Do you guys think this is enough? Alright guys, here's the video with the S20 Ultra here, and go ahead and zoom in. This is 4 times. We also have a 10 times on here, and this is at 60 frames. Let me know what you guys think here. Alright guys, here's just a little test footage of the S23 Ultra here for the video. The 3x, 10x. As you can see, just look at the detail. It's really, really nice. Very, very impressive. And we do have a 0.6 on here as well too. So just awesome image quality here, man. Lastly, let's go ahead and talk about the battery life experience. So the S23 Ultra is very impressive. I was not expecting this phone to have such great battery life. Now, both these phones have a 5,000 milliamp battery, and they both have 45-watt charging with wireless and reverse wireless charging. Due to the chip on the S23 Ultra, it just performs really amazing with battery life. I'm able to get a day and a half, almost 2 days of battery life out of this phone. With the S20 Ultra, I'm typically getting around 6 hours of screen on time. So battery life is pretty good on both. You can get through a full day on both. But if you're somebody that battery life is very important to you, yes, the S23 Ultra is actually pretty impressive when it comes to battery life. So I definitely was not expecting it to be this good. And I think, again, it's due to this new Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 being just very efficient here. So that is pretty much it, guys. Be sure to let me know, what do you guys think, and I will catch you guys in the next one.